Hey y'all, it's Katie. Welcome back to From My Vanity and welcome to my monthly fails. I've mentioned the past couple monthly favorite type videos that I'm trying to figure out how I want to do these and how I'm going to structure them for my channel. Ever since the arrival of Levi, things have been changing up. I don't have as long a time to record every day, so I'm trying to find a way to shorten them. And I think what I'm going to try this month, and I think it's probably what I'm going to stick to, especially if I'm able to try a good chunk of stuff each month, is that I'm going to have a dedicated fails video and a dedicated favorites video, and in each video we'll do a countdown because I really enjoy countdowns. I like the ranking style, so I'm going to keep to that. So in today's video I'm going to be sharing with you guys all the fails, but we're going to do it in a countdown style. So we're going to start with the products that were more just okay, like they weren't terrible, but they were just okay on the side of being a fail. They just didn't wow me enough to say like, oh, I really recommend these, I can see myself using them all the time, that kind of thing, or they just disappointed me maybe. And then we'll kind of go and count up until we get to the number one fail from the month that really disappointed me. And then in a couple days, I'm not sure if it'll be the next video you see or the video after that, but I will share with you my monthly favorites in a countdown form, and we'll do the same thing and work our way all the way up to the favorite from the month. So you have that to look forward to in a couple days, but today we're going to get into the fails. We're going to talk about all the products that I did not like. So if you like to hear about products that disappointed me, you're in the right spot. Let's get to it. Okay, first up, I'm putting these at the bottom of the pyramid at number 10 because while they did fail me, they weren't that bad. I will use them. They just aren't going to be my preference. And those are the Red Aspen Nail Dashes. Now, I did do a dedicated video on these, so I'll leave that linked up here, and I'll also include it down in the description box. But these, they're beautiful, they're gorgeous, they're stunning, and I really like the styles I have. I'm glad I did purchase these because they are very unique to my not really nail collection, but the nails that I've tried in the past, I've never tried ones like these. But when it comes to lasting power, these really failed me. Going from, I would say the longest I could get was 4 days tops, which is pretty disappointing because these right here are impressed nails that have gone on over a week. It is, the day I'm recording is Tuesday. I put them on last Saturday night. And these, I couldn't get, and 4 days was the top, and 4 days was with re-gluing nails on that kept popping off. So that'll tell you that right there. But if you want to hear more of the ins and outs of why I think these don't work, and I kind of go through my entire experience with them and how long they, wore before they started popping off, and then how long I kept them on, that kind of thing, check out that detailed video because I go more in depth there. But yeah, these definitely got the bottom of the pyramid because while they're gorgeous and beautiful, and I will use them at some point, they don't last that long. So next up for number 9 spot is the Rimmel London Wonderluxe Volume Mascara. This, I thought I was going to put it in a favorite, and honestly, I started using it at the end of last month, and I almost stuck it into the favorites of that month, but I was like, you know what, I've only been wearing it like maybe a week. Let me give it a little while because I feel like every mascara has a little bit of just, it takes a little bit of opening it and using it to really get the true essence of what that mascara is, if you guys know what I mean. So I was like, let me give it a little while longer and just make sure before I do rank this. And I thought I was going to rank it as a favorite. So I continued using it, and at this time I've had this open for about 5-ish weeks, and I really don't like it. It feels like it's already dried up. And as I said, I almost put it in a favorite because I loved how it coated my lashes. It honestly reminded me so much of the L'Oreal Unlimited mascara and how that this applies and just coats my lashes. And there was a couple days I did one on each eye and they looked identical, so I was like, oh cool, like I'm pretty sure Rimmel is more affordable than L'Oreal, so like a more affordable option. But at this point, no, it is so vastly different from the Unlimited mascara, and I still continue to use my Unlimited mascara, and I want to say this has been open for like 2 months, if not more. I've used it 2 solid months, if not more, and it's still going good, but this formula has just changed so much. Whereas before it used to, I think the formula was just thinner and it would coat my lashes and really grab them and separate them and give them definition along with separating and curling. It now just, it's kind of like the formula's dried out and it just clumps everything together, and it's become such a pain, and I don't like using it alone. I have to use a mascara underneath it to really fan out and separate my lashes before I kind of put this on to give a little more curl and volume, whereas before I could use this as a one and done mascara. That's why it really disappointed me and earned its spot in this fails video. It is towards the bottom, so it's not like I really hate this or it was a huge fail, but it definitely disappointed me enough to make it to the bottom of the period, and it's like, it's okay, I'll use it, but it could have been so much better if it just kind of, the formula stayed true to what it was the first week I had it. Next up, I have the Maybelline Superstay Full Coverage Foundation. This I thought I was going to like because it is a really nice full coverage type of foundation, but the day I used it and really went for a full coverage look, I didn't like it. It was way too cakey, and drying looking on my skin. Now I do have more dry skin right now, so maybe that was it. But anyway, I was like, okay, well maybe this is just a powder foundation that's best applied and use light coverage, not really going for a full coverage. So I used it, and I used it with a more fluffier brush and just went a lot lighter, and instead of packing it on, I did more sweeping, and it does a fine job. And that's why it is towards the bottom of the pyramid. It's not, you know, at the top of the counter, and it's not my #1 fail. I don't hate it. I can see myself getting use out of it, but it's not my favorite because when you apply it lightly, it really looks like you're wearing almost nothing, or maybe just a setting powder on top, and it just doesn't give me that coverage. But on top of that, I still feel like I'm wearing foundation and makeup and stuff like that. And to kind of compare and make sure I wasn't going crazy over here, I did put on today my Makeup Revolution Conceal and Define Satin Matte Powder. And I put this on the same way I put this on, a very light coverage. And if you can see, it's extremely full coverage. It looks like I have a liquid foundation on that I've set with powder. There's just something so special about this formula. It is stunning. I can't go heavy coverage and like really pack it on and really try to build up and just put a thick layer of it, because it will crease into every little line I have on my face. But I can go really light with that, not have to worry too much about the creasing, and it looks full coverage. For this, I feel like when I went heavy and tried to get that coverage, it would cake, just like the other one. It would cake up in all my lines. And then when I tried to go light, there was really not a whole lot of coverage. Like, yes, there was coverage, but it definitely looked like I was wearing some type of very medium coverage, even light coverage type of powder foundation. I don't know, it just didn't look that nice. I felt like it was more for my natural days, whereas this powder foundation from, you know, Makeup Revolution, I feel like it looks like I have a liquid foundation on, and I think it's gorgeous and beautiful, and like I said, it was just a powder. So I hope that makes sense, but this is not terrible. I'll continue to use it. I just have to want it for the days when I'm kind of going more natural and I want all my imperfections to shine through. So I don't know, just all those reasons, and especially since I had this foundation to compare it with, which I really do like. I think it's a beautiful finish, and I just like how full coverage it is, how easy it is to get that full coverage. So for all those reasons, this just ended up to be an okay foundation. It's fine. I just don't enjoy using it, so that's why I put it towards the bottom. So it's more of just an okay product. It's not a total fail, but it definitely didn't meet the expectations that I had for it. Okay, for number 7, this one is such a heartbreaking, I don't even know how to say it. This is the Maybelline The Rocket Volume Hydrofuge, not the waterproof version, I don't think. I was so disappointed in this. If you didn't know, if you haven't been following me this long, I used to have this as my like holy grail, my favorite. I think in the past I've bought like 3 or 4 tubes of this, and so it's been a long time, and I was like, you know what, since I love this mascara so much, let me get this again and see, to compare, like, is it as good as this? Because I remember this being such a fantastic mascara that I could do a one and done. Like, I could get length and volume and definition and all that in this, and I remember this specifically being fantastic for lengthening. And I don't know if my lashes have just gotten really bad in the past couple years or if they changed the formula, but this does absolutely nothing for my lashes. Like, it coats them, it tints them black, and that's where it ends. And I was just so disappointed. I was like, you know what? I think this was a mascara that wasn't that great when you first opened it. So I've been using it throughout the past month, and it hasn't gotten any better. So yeah, I was really bummed. I was like, wait, this used to be my favorite. Like, what happened? What happened to me? What happened? I don't know. Maybe it's probably my lashes. I feel like I don't have the lashes I did have when I was like 19 years old and when I was using this. So maybe that has something to do with it. But my lashes as they are now, this doesn't do anything for. So it was a big disappointment from this month. All right, so this one is a big bummer too, because I was expecting such great things. This is the LORAC Light Source Mega Beam Highlighter in Celestial. I saw this on the Ulta website and was like, Mega Beam? I have owned and really loved the Daylight highlighter from LORAC, and it's just their illuminating highlighter, their like original highlighter. I love this Daylight shade. I've loved it for a long time. It's definitely one that's maybe a tiny bit more softer nowadays, but you can definitely get it to amp up. And I would say this is a highlight I like to wear for my normal days. Like, when I don't want a blinding highlight, this is definitely one that sinks into the skin. You don't notice it unless you catch that light. It looks very natural, and it's definitely one I think shines the best when you're not trying to do it in a studio light, if that makes sense. Anyway, so when I saw they had a Mega Beam version, I was like, ooh, that must be even more intense. So that's why I bought it. It's definitely a different formula. It's drier, it's more firmly pressed, and on swatching it, you would think it would be a lot more intense on the face. And like I said, it's a different formula, so it feels differently. So when I first swatched it, I was like, oh yeah, there's definitely a difference. The LORAC original looks softer than the Mega Beam. But when you wear it on your face and when you're applying it with a brush, there's like no difference between these two at all. I did do a video. I don't know if I'm going to post it just because I feel like those videos aren't doing very well on my channel. So I'm kind of rethinking doing all these like dedicated videos and whatnot. But maybe I will do it. But I did a video where I did one of these on each cheek just to show you guys. And I've worn these both on my cheeks several times and they're almost identical. So if you were eyeing this to get it and think it was more intense than this, don't bother. So yeah, that's why it landed in my fails for this month, and towards the top of the pyramid when it comes to fails, towards the biggest fail of this month, because it just let me down so much that I was just like, wait, what? I thought it was Mega Beam. What? Okay, so I think we're at number 5 for the pyramid, the countdown. I keep saying pyramid because of Cassie Thriftic, and Jen Loves Reviews also does a pyramid style, but countdown I feel like is a more accurate way I do it. But anyway, at the 5th spot, I am grouping 2 different products together into the same spot because they do the same thing, or they're meant to do the same thing, and that is under eye primer. I have the Ulta under eye primer and the Catrice liquid camouflage under eye primer, and I've tried these for the past couple months. I feel like I've had them in my drawer, and I finally figured out why I couldn't tell a difference. It's because if you use a eye cream in the morning before you like start your makeup, you cannot tell a difference between having this on one eye and not having it on the other eye. The only days I could tell a difference and I saw like that, oh yeah, this does something for my under eyes and helps my concealer not crease, is when I didn't put on my eye cream in the morning. So if you're someone who doesn't use an eye cream, I could see you buying this and saying, oh wow, it does great things for my concealer, for my shadow. It really helps my shadow last and really show up. And then it helps my under eye concealer stay there, not crease, all that stuff. But if you're someone who has a good skincare regimen, and if you're already putting on eye cream daily, morning and night, you don't need these. This is totally an extra step. And I am someone who always puts on an eye cream. So for me, this is totally unnecessary. And that's why it ended up in the pyramid, because if you have a good skincare regimen, this step right here of an under eye primer is totally unnecessary, in my opinion, for my under eyes. And I do have under eyes that crease and get heavy lines and all that, so. Okay, next up is a product I have already reviewed, but I had to give it a second mention because it was just so bad. We're at the number 4 spot. We're getting to the top of this countdown, the top spot, and it is the CoverFX Power Play Concealer. And I think I put it in here because it just hurts so much, because when I saw these launch, I was like, ooh, I'm gonna love that. I think it's so cool and innovative the way the packaging is. I like CoverFX as a brand, and I don't know, I just bought this expecting it to work, and then I used it this past summer, fall, and I thought maybe it's just because I had been out of makeup so long that I was using this too much and too heavy, but I did notice it creased. So anyway, I put it back in my collection, and then last month I grabbed it again to try, and I used it 3-4 times, and every single time, no matter how lightly I went, it creases under my under eyes. So I'm just so mad. I don't know why I wanted this to work so bad and why I feel so offended that it doesn't work, but it doesn't work, and yeah, it always creases under my eyes and gets right into those lines underneath my eyes. And I have other full coverage concealers just like this is full coverage that don't settle into my lines under my eyes. So why would I bother with this? Okay, this is the Ulta Beauty. I forget what it's called, but it's like the little cut crease tool. I had asked and someone was like, yeah, I'd like to see you do a video, but I've actually been using it in a lot of my 3 Looks 1 palette videos, and so I feel like you can watch that to really see me demo it live and for you to also see how sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. So I'll leave the playlist for my 3 Looks 1 palette up above. But yeah, that's kind of my consensus with this, is that while it's a neat idea, more times than not, it fails. So for me, that's why I put it in the fail category at the number 3 spot in the countdown. We're getting towards the top of the biggest fails of the month, and this is definitely one of them. And while I'll continue to keep it and use it, I feel like I prefer to use it on this eye over this eye, because this eye is smaller. Like my eye area, the space I have is a lot smaller. So I noticed because this is just one size, it works pretty good for here. It takes a little farther up, a little more of a harsh upturn than I prefer. I like it a little more softer of a slope instead of just kind of going up. But it still looks good on my eyes. I don't mind it, and it's nice for the days I'm just in a hurry and I want to get there and get done as fast as I can. But I noticed that when I use it on this eye, I really have to be conscious of my eye shape, and I actually have to make it go lower and stamp it lower on my eye. And it just kind of depends on if I got my guesstimation of where I think I should stamp it right or not, whether this worked or not. Because if I just kind of did the same thing I did to this eye, it would like stamp all the way up, like past my crease into my brow. And that's a little too high for me. So that's just something that I feel like if you're very if your eyes are very even, if they're spaced nicely, if they are relatively the same size, each one of your eyes, then I can see this working nice. And if you have a lot of eye space, because this is, you just have this one size. They don't come in different sizes for different eye shapes or different eye sizes. So if you have everything that fits this, I feel like this is a fantastic tool. But for me, since this eye, the lid space I have is so much larger than this eye, I just felt like it was too hard to use it on both eyes. And the days that I did use it, like I said, more often than not, I had to correct it, especially on this side. But even on both sides, I would have to correct it. Either, you know, the concealer would spill out the side and you kind of smudge the line, make it blurry. It never applied evenly. I always had to go over with a brush and kind of fill it in and pat it in and make everything smooth. So while this was kind of good to give me the general shape, I still had to do all the work. So it's a neat idea, and if you want to have some help with getting that general shape and you have a lot of lid space, I would say give it a try, but it doesn't save that much time. And for me and my two different size eyes, it's just more of a hassle than a help, honestly. Okay, we are getting towards the top number 2 spot. We are almost there to the biggest fail of the month. I see you over there. This is the Catrice 1 Minute Face Perfector. I had high hopes for this. I thought this would kind of be like a cheaper alternative to my BB cream from Coola that I use. It has SPF and it just gives a little bit of coverage, a little bit of perfecting and kind of airbrush to your face. And I used that product so much this past year when I was pregnant with Levi and I was so sick. I would just put that on my face and it kind of helped to blur and just refresh and just made me feel a little more put together. And especially if I kind of did a little concealer and like a light translucent powder on top, it definitely made my face look done. So I wanted to see if this could give me that because the Coola one is expensive. Anyway, I've used it a ton and it does do what the Coola one does, but a couple of things that it doesn't do as nicely as a Coola is, one, you can't wear it by itself. At least for me, I can't wear it by itself, I should say, because the Coola one, I can put it on and I go about my day and you don't really feel it on your skin. If anything, it almost feels like you put a pore filling primer. It has that kind of feel to it, that softness to it. This, you put it on and it's just greasy. Like I feel like I just have a layer of grease on my skin and my hair catches into it and little fuzzies in the air catch onto my face. I did not like how it wore by itself, so I could never wear this by itself. I did it one day to test and nope, did not like it. Two, it's one color and it's a rather dark color, so for me I felt like it tinted my skin just a little bit, which was a little bit darker than I wanted. If you can see, it's not bad, but it's just a little bit, and when it's on your face, I don't know, it just, I felt like my skin had just a touch of orange to it. Not my preference. But anyway, if I set this with, put concealer on, put a powder on top, it was fine. But there was just a thickness, a heaviness to my face that the Coola one doesn't give me. So for that reason, this was just a big fail. It wasn't really a 1 minute perfector because I really couldn't just use this and go as I can the Coola one. And then like I said, there's just a thickness to it and a greasiness that even with powder on top, you could tell. Thankfully, things don't stick to it with a powder on top, but it just feels a little slip slidey, a little greasy on my skin. It's not my preference and it's definitely one that I would never want to repurchase. And honestly, now that I have it, I really don't ever want to use it just because I prefer the Coola one over this one. So that's why it earned number 2 spot. All right, you guys, for the biggest fail from this month, this is the Kiss Magnetic Eyeliner. I keep trying to find a dupe for my Moxie Lash, y'all. My Moxie Lash, this guy right here, is bomb. I can wear this with my magnetic lashes, almost any pair of magnetic lashes too, drugstore, whatever, the Moxie lashes, and my lashes stay. This one, which I thought they were trying to be a dupe for, you see that? This one is not a dupe because it just doesn't stay and it's so annoying. I think out of the, oh my gosh, 12 times that I tried this with, you know, putting this on, trying to stick lashes to it, and a variety of lashes. I didn't just try one pair. I tried Moxie Lash, I tried the Kiss lashes, I tried Ardell, I tried Allure, I tried all the magnetic lashes I own. I think there was one day where it stayed a good portion of the day. I want to say like 6 or 8 hours, and that was it. Besides that, either it lasted an hour or under an hour, or I couldn't even get the lash to stick onto it. And on top of that, anytime that I could get successful where it started to stick down and stay, I had to apply 2 coats of that in order to get it to adhere. If I did just 1 coat of this, nothing would stick to it. It was almost like it didn't have enough magnetic strength to it with 1 coat of this to really get it to adhere. So I would always have to do 2 coats and I could get my lashes to stay on semi. Usually I could get them to adhere onto my lids, but the minute I blinked or closed my eyes tight or anything like that, they would pop up. and that's just kind of a fail for me. And like I said, there was one day I do know I wore it, I want to say at least 6 hours, maybe it was at least 4, I'm not sure. I wore it for several hours, and I remember looking in the mirror going, oh, like this actually worked. This is going to be cool. I can rave about this being a success and a good dupe. But then, no, ever since then, I don't know if it was something special about that day or what. I do know it was a very light pair of lashes. They were the Ardell, I think, the wispy lashes. They're magnetic ones, and those are very light, almost unnoticeable on the eyes, and they have very dainty little magnets on them. And like I said, they're so dainty and light that when I looked in the mirror after a couple hours, I noticed it had popped up from my outer corner, but they're so light that you don't really feel it and you can't really see it when it pops up. But still, if it pops up in my eyes, like, I would never want to go out and wear that anywhere, because if they're popping up, what if a big strong wind comes by and just takes your lash off? I don't know. Yeah, it can work sometimes, but like I said, for me, more times than not, I couldn't get it to stay on my eyes for more than an hour. And if there's any kind of pressure where I closed my eyes tight, blinked really hard, my eyes watered, anything like that, it would always pop up. And it was so disappointing. I did notice that this really did remind me of the Lash Liner System liquid liner. So if you like that one and that lash liner system really works for you, this might work really well for you. But for me, with my eyes, there's something, I think there's something with the shape of it, because I think that also plays a part in having a difficulty finding lashes, because I have a very round eye and a lot of lashes just want to stick straight on me, like it doesn't want to go down. Maybe if you have more of a straight, not straight, but not such a curve to your eyelid, if you don't have such watery eyes, because that was definitely a thing when my eyes started to water, this would just kind of, any kind of strength it had would just dissolve and it would pop right up. So if you don't have watery eyes, and if you don't have sensitive eyes, I don't know what it is about me and magnetic liners, but I have such a struggle with finding a good pair. And I hear other people trying different types that I've tried, and I can't get them to work, so I don't know what people are doing. But I do know out of all the drugstore magnetic liners that I've seen people try, people have success with this one. So I would say if you're wanting to try one from the drugstores and not spend the, gosh, is this like $45? It's expensive. They do have a mini for around 20, maybe 30. But still, it's expensive. And if you're not wanting to take the plunge and buy something expensive, maybe give this a try. Buy it from Ulta after this whole thing is over so that you can return it if you don't like it. But give it a try, because I do know a couple people have tried this and they say it works for them. So, but with that said, I have to review it for how it works for me, and that's why it landed at the top of my countdown and #1 spot as being the biggest fail from the month of March, because it doesn't work for me. So there you have it. That is my fails countdown for the month of March. I hope you guys found these reviews helpful. It's always a little bit sad to record these videos, these fail videos, because I feel like I'm just kind of being a Debbie Downer and every product didn't work for me, obviously. That's why it's in this video. But don't worry, stay tuned. As I said, either the next video or the video after that is going to be my monthly favorites, so I can't wait to share with you guys about them, because I do have 10 products that I really did enjoy. But yeah, with all that said, thank you guys so very much for watching. I hope you found this video informative, helpful, entertaining, whatever the case may be. If you did, please hit the thumbs up button on your way out. It really helps me out in the whole YouTube algorithm. And yeah, I'm just so thankful you guys took the time out of your day to check out my video and spend some time watching it with me. And yeah, with all that said, thank you guys so very much for watching, and I will see you very soon in my next video. Bye guys.